Hello, I'm Eric Schumacher Rasmussen. I'm CMO of Ideas and the conference chair for streaming media events. Thanks for joining us at this, our sixth Streaming Media Connect virtual event. We're thrilled to be back here with you virtually. We now have 4 events per year, 2 virtual and 2 in person. And the next in-person event will be in Huntington Beach, California in November. Sounds like a pretty good place to be in November if you live in Wisconsin like I do. And that's Streaming Media West, and the program for Streaming Media West went live this week. And Steve Nathans-Kelly, our producer, just popped that link into the chat. So you can check out our program there. And I believe registration is also open. And if you're interested in speaking at the event, have a look at the program, see where you might fit, and please do contact me. Before we jump into our tech talk, just a few housekeeping notes. Just for being here, you're entered into a random drawing for an Amazon gift card, and we'll announce the winner of that gift card at the end of each session. You do need to be present to win. If you have questions for our speaker, please enter them in the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. That way, it's just easier for us to keep track of them than if they end up in the audience chat. But of course, feel free to use the chat to chat amongst yourselves, or send a chat to either me, Steve, or our speaker, Derek. We'll make sure that the questions all get asked to Derek after his presentation, if there are any. Also, another housekeeping note, subtitles are turned on. And if you want to turn them off, you can go to live transcript at the bottom of your Zoom window and select disable transcript to turn them off. I'd like to thank our diamond sponsor for sponsoring the entirety of Streaming Media Connect this week, and that's Media Silo. And we've got a brief video message from them. And another quick housekeeping note, if you signed up for this session, you may have noticed that a presentation from Dolby was on the schedule for after Derek's presentation from Teradek. Ryan Jesperson from Dolby will be speaking tomorrow, same bat time, same bat station, just a different day. So tune in tomorrow for that. But we now have a tech talk from Derek Nickell, who is a product manager and creative technologist at Teradek. And he'll be talking about 4K HDR streaming with Prism Flex and Core, which are, of course, products from Teradek. So Derek, welcome.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks for
joining us, and I'll just let you take it away.
Awesome. So today, hey, everybody, my name's Derek Nickell. As Eric said there, I work for Teradek in the IP and live productions product management group. So we develop Prism, we develop the Cube, Bolt, etc. My background is in live events, live production. I've done interactive art installations and interactive launches for many different clients, and worked as a freelance V1 and TD for many of my years. So I'm very familiar with the workflow and the process that all of us have to do, and challenges that come with that in the field when we're trying to do live production. So for this demo today, I'm going to demonstrate some not so new technology for Teradek, but something that recently has come out, the Prism Flex. Prism Flex is our smaller format encoder and decoder. They come in 2 different flavors. You can get an encoder and a decoder both. These have the same technology that is existing within the rack unit below, and I'm going to walk over here to actually demo this thing for you guys. So the rack unit itself has cards internal here that contain the same chipset. It's just reformed into a desktop or a more portable, flexible unit that you can take where you need to. So all of this technology exists within the Flex. But what we've done here is we've made it a little bit easier to integrate into your system. So I'm going to zoom in real quick so you can see the back part of this Flex encoder here. And unfortunately, my vMix machine is way over here in my lab, but it gets my steps in, right? Go back and forth. So with the Flex itself, same chipset inside, but you have an 12G SDI input and a loop out. So you're not trying to break, we're not trying to break your workflow chains here at all. We want you to be able to bring this into your environment very simply without trying to redesign anything, and just kind of bring this in so you have your 12G workflow coming in and then going out to your existing workflow so that you can either demo this or not have a complete downturn in production because you've decided to go to a different device. I know with our Cube devices, that was one of the limiting factors with Cube, is that it had one single SDI input, and then you either had to put that at the end of the chain or break your chain in between and rely on a piece of gear that you might not be 100% comfortable with. So continuing on with the Flex, we also included a HDMI 2.0, so we can bring 4K 60 in over SDI or HDMI with HDR 10-bit full encoding, just as the Prism racks do. This also includes an SD card, so you can record directly to the device itself. When you have an SD card into this system here, you set this up for recording, and then it will actually store what we call store and forward, chunk the video back up to core. So if you're at a place that doesn't have very good connectivity, you can record locally and then send that back up to core as network availability increases. Moving on, we have two different USB-C inputs here. These are actually USB 2 because they're made to be used with the Teradek Node 2. The Teradek Node 2 is a high performance cellular modem, LTE 4G modem, that can go 150 megabits bidirectionally within that modem. It's pretty hardcore. Not that you would ever use 150 megs or double that at any point, but the availability is there. And working within that lower capacity on the node allows it to perform a lot better. With that, we have 2 gigabit Ethernet ports, and as you can see here, Wi-Fi internally on the device. So we're going to speak to bonding a little bit today. Bonding through this device, you can actually bond up to 6 sources. That could be 2 USB-C nodes on the back, 2 different ISPs. Otherwise, you're not helping yourself by putting the same ISP on the ports here, and then another ISP over Wi-Fi. One thing is that you can also attach, if you get into a really, really sticky situation, you can also attach your cell phone to this using the Prism app. The Prism app can attach up to 6 cell phones total to gain more bandwidth wherever you're at. It does rely on that data on the phone and is very limited, but the workflow here is to provide as many options as possible to get the data, get the signal, get the video back up to the cloud. So beyond that, we have a single button to go through any of the menus here on the front. If you push these menus, there are different options underneath this. So when we get to the record, or let's just say the network here, you can reset those from this device so that you're not stuck out of it. You can also do a factory reset too if you are completely stuck out of the device and you need to get back in. So that gives you a little bit more flexibility trying to operate this in any sort of situation. So now I'm going to take you in through Core now that we have this device up and running. I'm going to cut back over to myself here and send this up to Core. So when we first come into Core, you'll see all of your active devices that are hooked up into Core. This one here obviously is my Flex encoder. The Flex encoder is bringing up HEVC. If we go to our sources here, we're bringing up 1920 by 1080 And that's coming through in H.264. So we're setting up AVC into core, and we're able to manipulate that signal once we get up here. So what you do when you first come into core, and I'll go through just a very quick and easy demo of what core is. Core is our cloud-based platform. From core, you can spin up a server to ingest RTMP streams directly, transcode servers to transcode from H.264 to H.265 or vice versa, and provide any sort of external connections that you need going out of core through these servers. This is used for signal dissemination. If you want to go to multiple CDNs, it's used for secure sharing and recording and record playback. So what I'm going to show you is what you first come into, and this is the dashboard here, and all your active devices will show up in your dashboard first. You can come down to sources and actually see that I have my Flex encoder connected to core. These are other devices within my home lab that I have connected as well. And then there's a preview to show you that it's actually online and converting footage into IP streams. So now that we're inside the encoder, what we need to do is spin up a server to take this AVC stream and send it out to multiple destinations. So what I'm trying to demo here with this is sending a single stream in and sending that out to all your CDNs, as well as another Prism decoder using SRT. So now that we have our stream up and we have our server up, we can see that the Prism is connected and it is generating this stream. We can tell what our bit rate is, and that will show for both the Wi-Fi signal, because I have Wi-Fi connected, and I also have wired connected. So this is actually bonding a signal up to core. And you can see as one dropped off here, the wire dropped off, the bit rate stayed pretty even across the board and picked up on the Wi-Fi over the gigabit Ethernet. So now that we have a stream set up, I have one channel set into the stream. Channels are what we call our end destinations here at Teradek. So if I wanted to link another one, if I wanted to go out to a different CDN, I can set up my Twitch account here and link to it and verify that I want to switch this to this different server and independently control whether or not this one goes live. So it doesn't affect anything outside of the Vimeo stream that we're streaming right now, but we can independently switch and turn these on and off as we see fit. This also exists for decoders as well. So I have a Prism decoder sitting next to me here. And what I'm going to do is I will go and set this up and bring it into core so that you can see that process. 220. So this is my Flex encoder that's sitting over on the table. You can see that it's compressing this video output that I'm sending into Zoom as well. And you can also see that your Wi-Fi is set up here and wired is set up and assigned here. Under your cloud settings, we have integrations for core as well as Frame.io, and that works in a camera to clouds functionality where files synced and recorded will be updated and uploaded into core as well as Frame.io. So now that this one is coming online, I will go to the IP 192.168.13. I can type this right. And 152. This is my Prism 875, which is our Prism decoder. It's not decoding anything right now, but I'm going to connect this to my core account. So I want to unlink this first because it was linked to another entity. Link this device. And so this is how easy it is to get a device into Core. You get a code here, you copy this code. We even give you the link underneath just to go straight to Core. But if I want to, I can come over to my Core dashboard that's already open. Under decoders, add a decoder and paste that 5-digit code. It will reach out and ping this here. And now it says, okay, which organization do you belong to? Because I belong to several as a product manager, I can select which one I want that to go into. And now the device is connected to Core. We save this as well. And a decoder should come online here in a second. You should see this actually pop up into our decoders. Ingest. I'm going to go through the stream itself and then add and link a decoder over here. And this decoder, obviously, when we're doing live performances, that's when everything breaks, right? So we can sit here and we can think about it and we really want it to work. But of course, it's not going to work right now, which is great. So that's the process to link things into Core using the 5-digit code. Unfortunately, it looks like this decoder, there it is. It's starting to connect. I'm going to go back over to my dashboard and the stream and link this new decoder that we just added into our stream. So this can actually output an SDI signal directly from the decoder or an HDMI output directly from the decoder that is being sent into the stream. So what you see here will be live into the decoder as well. And if we go to the actual decoder itself, we'll see that we're now taking in and decoding that stream at about 5-6 megs a second. Some other things that we should talk about within Core. So that's how to get a point-to-point system and a single point to multiple endpoints out through Core using Prism Flex and decoding it onto a Prism Flex receiver. A couple other things within Core that I feel we should share on this is Core TV. If you're ever in a situation where you need to securely share a video signal and make sure that it's not going out to the masses, say you're doing corporate communications and you want to talk to the rest of your employees and share quarterly figures. Well, you don't want to put that on Vimeo and you don't want to put that on YouTube because that's very unsecure. You want to be able to share that where you have a lot of control over that. And that's where Core TV comes in. I created this demo share and added my Flex encoder into this demo. I'm going to go through and create a new one for you. So this will be demo 2, just because I'm very unique in my naming conventions. And it will show the encoders in the front. So I'm going to select the Flex encoder, which is going to add this source into my share right here, demo 2. When I click inside of it, now I have Flex encoder running inside that. But what I'm more interested in is this window here. And I'll zoom in just a little bit. We have 3 different options to share these streams securely. You can send them to individual email addresses. You can send them over SMS, and this is multi-country too. This is not just US based, or you can send via a link. With all of these, you can enable or disable text chat and voice chat. So if you need feedback from somebody, you need to send this to a director or an EP or somebody that has final say and sign off on your stream and what gets thrown out to the web. You can send this to them, and this is lower latency. This usually has about 300 to 500 milliseconds latency, so less than half a second. You can see live what's being sent to the web. So if we enable these two, we have a little bit more options here for reading and writing. And the link gets generated here, so you can copy and share that as well. Email addresses. If you need to share this and make sure that all of your content is watermarked, this is where you would do this. You can turn on watermarking for each user. So as the users come in, they have a low res version of their email address over the entire picture of video that you're sending. So even if screen shares are taken or video is captured and shared, it's still branded with their email address, so you can know who to go back out to. So that's Core TV. We have a Core TV app that also runs on Apple TV as well as your iPhone or Android device. That's going to be your lowest latency in this workflow. If you want to have somebody view it right away, then installing either Apple TV on a HDR compliant monitor will allow you to view that HDR content sent in very, very low latency. A couple more things with Core here. The QoS shows what your quality is of your devices. So this is my stream coming in here. If we go to the QoS settings, we'll actually see that the bandwidth chart shows both devices, the wired one and the Wi-Fi together are creating about 6.1 megs upload. So we can monitor this from here. And it's kind of nice to just sit on and make sure that everything's going okay. You're not having a dropout on one device over another, or one's taking more of, you can tell where your cell devices are hanging up. One's being used more than the other one. This also will give you all of these outputs at the same time. So from our sources and in our stream here, we can send out MPEG-TS, SRT, RTSP, HLS per server. So you don't have to necessarily send these to a decoder or send these to a destination. You can individually pull these yourself. And this works with security as well. If you turn on HTTPS, you'll actually have a server key, and then everything will be locked down even further. The servers, let's go through the servers. There's two different types of servers that we have in Core. The first is a Hyperion, formerly known as Sputnik. These are your transcode servers that can take in up to 5 inbound streams and transcode them to all those different flavors I just showed, MPEG-TS, SRT, RTSP, HLS. So these are the servers you want to fire up if you have an HEVC stream coming in and you want to transition that to AVC. The second is Helios. Helios is more of an inbound server than and more of a distribution server than it is a transcode server. Right here we have RTMP ingest, and it'll give you the stream URL and the stream key for that server. And then you can attach channels to that and disseminate your signal to as many CDNs as you'd like over the channels, or into individual decoders. So this works with any device. If I'm streaming on vMix, I can send vMix into this and then have it pass to a 4K Flex decoder if I wanted to, or a Cube decoder. This works with Cube as well. There's a question from Ruben. New to streaming, I bought the Wave. Does Core come with that device? Core does not come with that device, but Core is enabled on that device, so you can send Wave into Core just like we are with the Prism Flex right now, the Prism Rack units, Serve 4K. All of those devices can send into Core, and then you can disseminate your signals out from there. So yes, Wave does work with it. Core is an additional monthly cost because this is our cloud-based solution here. So back to Helios. Helios are essentially the servers you want to spin up whenever you need to send a signal out to multiple locations, usually CDNs. There are a couple different versions of Helios. One of those I will spin up here quickly is a Playback server. So what we can do is we can actually take a recorded file. Let me change this. Let me go back to here. And we don't want an RTMP ingest point. We want to turn this into, and there's a bunch of different flavors. You want an SRT ingest point, MPEG TS, all of these we can spin up using a Helios. This is, again, where that dissemination comes out. You send one signal in, you can send a bunch of signals out. But we can also take file playback. And so I have some test files here that I'll use that are upside down because my camera was upside down. And we can take these and use this to play back a video file that has been previously recorded. Now this comes into, this kind of touches upon, again, corporate communications, any sort of AV requirement where they want to make sure that their stream doesn't drop, right? They don't want to be live, but they want to be able to record it as if it was and play it back as if it was live. And so that's what this type of Helios server does, is when you attach a file to it, when you spin this up and start it, it will start to play back that file as if it was live. And so you can take that and send it off to YouTube, take it and send it to a decoder if you want to send it back to another decoder. Anywhere you'd want to do, anywhere you would send another stream through any of these Helios servers can be sent with file playback as well. And so this is spinning up right now. You'll see that there's a file playback here, and there's a function to actually start that. So it doesn't start immediately when you spin the Helios server up. It gives you some time to set up your destinations, excuse me, and where you want it to actually go. And then it will also give you the network IP strings as well, just like these distribution servers that I have set up here. So these provide an FLV, MPEG TS, and SRT, and the file playback server will do the same once we hit play here. So it does take a little bit of time for it to launch this server, but when it's up and running, then you're ready to go. So moving ahead to recordings, we'll come back to this in a second. I'll show you it actually play off. Recordings are your standard recording format. You can have buckets within buckets, folders within folders, if you want to use that terminology, and record individually from each one of your devices into a specific folder. So if I wanted to go back to my Prism here and say, I'm going to record and I want to sync it with Core, I can actually specify on the device which of these folders I want to go to. So you don't even have to get into Core. If you know, hey, I'm out in the field, I'm going to go shoot this one thing and I need to capture a sunset for X client, I'm going to put it in a sunset folder here. I'm going to make a new one just because, sunsets, and hit create. That's going to create a new folder in Core. I'm going to save this to sunsets. And then when I start recording on the device, it'll record locally on the device here, which I have a 32 gig card in the back of it. And when I stop, it'll send this file up to Core. You'll see it sync here at the bottom. And now I can go into sunsets, and there's my Flex encoder recording right there. This is great for having unreliable networks where you don't have a consistent connection that's a high-speed connection. It will chunk that file up, and you won't have to restart your upload back into Core. It'll pick up where the last chunk left off. So now that I have this Helios up and running, here's the file here, the file URL where it's coming from. I'm going to set this up to say go to my Vimeo account, and I'm going to take this off of that other server. So right now we have it running into Vimeo. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off of the other server there. It's going to kill the stream in the Vimeo. So this will go away just like that. And I'm going to go live again. Oh no, of course not. maybe it's not ready yet. It's working on it. Let me end it over here. All right, cool. That's ended. So let's go live here. And there's dead silence because I'm the only one in the room talking. I love webinars, by the way. Thank you, everybody, for joining. This is great. I'm going to try a different one just because time. Let's go to Twitch. Let's not go to Twitch. Come on, buddy. I'm going to start playback as soon as this is live. And then we'll see this coming into. Okay, maybe he doesn't want to stop. All right, I'm going to start playback here. This file is going to start rolling off. And then we'll go live, see if it likes that better. Maybe it likes to see that. No, it doesn't like it at all. I'm going to actually just go through and show you what it's like to add a new Vimeo. I'm already signed into my account. I'm going to name this as Vimeo 2. And I'm going to go to a new event here. Create that channel. Puts it all the way at the bottom. I'm going to hit link and go live. Then under my events here in Vimeo, let's go to the new event. And this is still, oh, HEVC. So HEVC is not enabled for playback at CDNs, and that is why it's not doing that. That's a very good thing to call out. So these servers can play off video files and stream, but we do have to make sure that we're using a VC and not HEVC. So that was a rookie mistake by me, but I appreciate you following along and being a part of this anyway. So with that said, I am going to cut back to myself here. And if there's any questions about anything I've talked about, please let me know. I know I covered a lot very quickly. There's a lot to do within Core. There's a lot to do within our devices. Having these two together really expands your workflow and availability for problem solving on the end. So I appreciate all of your time, and thank you very much for tuning in.
That was such a comprehensive demo that there aren't any questions at the moment, but we'll keep chatting here for a second, just in case there are some last minute questions that come in. As my Canadian friends would say, that was a gooder. And sure enough, there are questions right there.
Look at that. We just said it and it happened.
Exactly.
So the pre-recorder is being scheduled. That is a feature that's in the works right now. Currently, you have to manually start those, but there has been enough request for a scheduling service that you can set a time and a date for those to roll off. So that is coming out very, very shortly. Does your encoder also work with MUX? Yes, I do. Part of some of the testing that we're doing right now with closed captioning on our devices has been related to MUX, and I've been doing some testings with MUX, and it has worked flawlessly no matter what.
Excellent. Well, thanks again so much, Derek, for, as I said, a very comprehensive overview of what Prism Flex and Core can accomplish and how they work. Our Amazon gift card winner for this session is Ruben Rodriguez Jr. So Ruben, keep an eye out on your email for more information about that. I also want to mention that all of the Streaming Media Connect sessions will be archived and available on demand starting Monday on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/streaming media video. Thanks again to Teradek for sponsoring this session, and to Media Silo for sponsoring our entire conference this week. Our next session will be at 4 p.m. Eastern. Nadine Krefitz from Streaming Media will be hosting a panel on rethinking your OTT workflow with speakers from Knowledge Network, Fandango, Voodoo, Globo, and more. So we'll see you then. Thanks again.
Thank you.